And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Uh, Hold on, let me just check something. Yep, we're good. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of things I have and a lot of things I don't have. And one of the things I don't seem to have a lot of lately is time. Time is one of those things that it's been hard pressed to find good time, but I did find a little bit of time today to make a video, and I just wanted to talk about like the obvious things. Like people always talk about like the secrets in Pokemon, like everything is behind paywalls or everything is gate kept, and that's just not the truth. So, what I want to do in this video is just try to make this a positive video and talk about like there are really no secrets in this hobby. And one of the things I've talked about on a previous video is I've talked about the fact that there are no original thoughts in Pokemon. But the thing is a lot of these thoughts that have already been hashed out before, had already been said, could have been said a year ago, or 3 years ago, or 5 years ago, or in some situations 10 plus years ago. And I think it's tough sometimes to just be able to find that information, whether it's through YouTube or E4 forums and stuff. And what I mean by that is like the people that were out there making these really good videos in the past, sometimes those videos, while they might have like a lot of historical content, like context for the history of this hobby, the sad reality is a lot of people just, one, never watched that video because maybe they just weren't around in the hobby, or number two, which is the sadder part of it, is they might not even know that video even exists. And one of the reasons I decided to make this video is, shout out to Professor Oak. I heard him talking earlier today. I was watching one of his videos, and he mentioned his old maid play. And he talked about how I made a whole video talking about that, how I highlighted his original video. I talked about his spreadsheets. And when everything was all said and done at the end of the day, I said that video only had like 300 views on it, but I thought it was like a very important video for in a historical aspect, like from a historical context of this hobby. Old maid cards ended up being big plays. We've seen now old maid cards being graded into the thousands. You can't walk through a collecticon without seeing a graded old maid. You can't talk to a lot of people in this like niche area that doesn't know what those cards are. You can't find people now without sealed decks of those, people with binders of those. Some people have hundreds to thousands of the sealed decks. They're making like big plays. But the reality is, and the fact of the matter is that was all created by one person in one video. And there's a lot of examples like that. There's a lot of like little nuances, a little bit of those historical aspects of this hobby. And there's a lot of videos that I personally can think of that come off the top of my head that have huge historical like implications, but maybe there's just not a lot of people that have watched those videos, or videos that give very good snapshots in times. Like there are certain videos I could think of going back 4 years ago where people were talking about investing in cards. They're talking about generations. They're talking about mythical collection boxes. They're talking about picking up some like high-end trophy cards, high-end being Illustrator Pikachu, spending $10,000 making investment videos back then. And I went back and I was like, I'm curious, what did these videos have for views? 400, 500 views. And I'm like, wow, these videos today would have thousands of views on it because they were just so ahead of their time. And a lot of the information that I have, like, you got to keep in mind about Pokemon, especially when it comes to the nuances and the history of this hobby. There's only so much information that one person can discover. In order to understand this hobby and really like to be able to absorb it and comprehend it and know all those little nuances of this hobby, you need to have a very wide support structure. And that's the support structure for me is Discord groups or YouTube videos or different old forums and stuff like this. And I want to be able to like start to share some of those videos. So what I plan to do in the future is, it's not going to be a daily thing. It might be a weekly thing or a monthly thing, but I'm going to on occasion highlight a video that I think has important historical aspects of this hobby. So a good example would be TCA Gaming. When TCA Gaming like first showcased match print cards, or when TCA Gaming first showcase 4 position only cards. I want to say the 4 position only video came out probably like 7 or 8 years ago at this point. Things that people quote still to this day. Or, shout out to PFM where he talks about like Beckett Black labels and how tough they are to get. And there's a lot of like important historical videos in this hobby, or just people going through major collection buys. Like a perfect example of one of the videos that has become very historic in this hobby is just the one where Cool Train Orion and PokeRev, that big purchase they made where they're literally on the back of Cool Train Orion's deck, going through all these different booster boxes, looking at all the cards that were in there, and they're talking to each other, and it was a very different time in PokeRev's career. Even though it was on his channel, there's a different feel to it. It's not like the overhyped videos sometimes which I love the videos he makes today because the editing is so awesome, but it's a more like peeled back, more raw type of video. And videos like that are very important because it shows that snapshot in time. It shows when they purchase those booster boxes and those cards and that collection buy, it shows you what those prices were at that point. And I think while a lot of people kind of shun on some of that stuff, they shun on like the history of the hobby because in a way they want to put their blinders on and they want to say, I don't care about anything that happened in the past. All I want to care about is I'm looking straight forwards. I'm not looking back. I just want to keep going. I don't care about anything in the past. But one of my favorite quotes in life, and definitely in this hobby it applies, is history has this amazing ability to repeat itself. And those that don't learn from history are doomed to make sometimes the same mistakes from the past. So if you're able to realize those two things, one, history has a way of repeating itself, and number two, if you learn how not to make the same mistakes other people have made in the past, I think it just helps evolve you, not just as a collector, investor, flipper, whatever you want to call yourself in that day. I think to learn from the past just makes you a better person overall. So I am going to start to, just once in a while, I'll throw out a community post saying, hey, by the way, I think you should check out this video. Maybe I'll give like a little write-up for each video. Be like, hey, in this video, this person showed these things. Listen to the way they talk and listen to the way, like, the hobby changes. One of my favorite videos, which is, I doubt a lot of people have seen it, but speaking of TCA Gaming, one of my favorite videos is just him opening up first edition base set packs, and when he pulls his first edition Charizard from a pack, it's just, when you hear his voice in the background, he goes, huh, look at that, first edition Charizard. Okay, nice. Like, that was his reaction, because it just gives you that. It's a snapshot in time. It's a snapshot. I mean, it's still, at the time, a very expensive card. It's the most expensive set card, but when you put everything, relative, it's not the over... you look at what a Rusty pulling a first edition Charizard versus Leonhardt pulling a first edition Zard, and, like, lights going off and him jumping out of the chair, because at that time, he was catering to the 2020, 2021 viewer, the people that want to see, like, that crazy expression. But the fact of the matter is, like, the history of the hobby isn't that. It's not the crazy hype. It's just the more peeled back, nuanced conversations. And I think there are a lot of secrets that are still exist in those videos. And one thing that I don't want to do is, I don't want to, like, ever gatekeep any of that information. So I want to be able to put it out there. And the only way I feel I could put it out there is to, like, just make people aware of this stuff. So what I want to do on today's video is I'm just going to look through my personal, like, list of people that I'm subscribed to. Like, who do I watch? I'm going to talk about, like, I'm literally just going through my subscriptions right now because I want to showcase, like, some of these people, and, like, who do I watch? Who are, like, net benefits for this hobby? Who are people that I enjoy? And just real recently, like, and then I'll talk about each person. I'll give you, like, a little, snippet of, my interactions with them. If I know them personally, like, what I think of their content. So, like, the most recent video somebody posted was Opossum Bud. I like Nick a lot. I got to have Opossum Bud on my channel on 2 or 3 different occasions. He hopped in during the podcast I used to have with Rattle and Ryan. He's a great dude, makes solid content. Overall, like, I don't have a bad thing to say about Opossum. Like, so this is that weird thing. And a lot of people are like, oh, there's certain drama channels. People like to I'm definitely lumped into that because I've been in my fair share of drama. Like, make no mistake about it. Believe me. But, people will lump, like, Opossum Bud into the drama channels. And then people will lump Rattle in. And, I always hear this crazy thing. It's people keep talking about the drama. And in the back of my head, I'm like, you ever hear that saying, like, tell me you joined the hobby in 2020 without telling me you joined the hobby in 2020. And every single one of the people that are, like, talking about the drama in the hobby, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to let you in on because the title of this video is Pokemon Secrets. I'm going to let you in on a secret. Drama in this hobby is nothing new. And if anything, you can make the argument that drama is the most Pokemon thing that you can get because that is not new. And it's just one of those, but I hear people, like, they kind of do it as a battle cry now, like, talk about the drama, and it's like, I promise you, drama is embedded in this hobby. And you can go back, whether it's, stolen, cards from the post office, people still have, like, hits out on those, whether it's, high-end trophy cards that were stolen from post offices or, kids at Worlds and their book bags, or people that were trying to do big trades with each other, and, like, other people got in first and was able to, like, steal that purchase out from another person, like, things that happened decade ago. Drama's not new. It's just now because of YouTube, maybe drama gets more mainstream, but it's definitely not new, I promise you. Like, it's gonna and just like everybody talks about, the videos Rattle makes where he, like, showcase scammers and stuff, and it's like, scammers are not new. Like, I don't know what people are talking about. Just because they entered in 2020, 2021, they think, like, that this is the new conversation. It's not. So I don't like sometimes the way, like, people will, like, give that rap to people because it's just not the truth. And the sad reality is drama is something that will stay. It's not going anywhere. Whether it's me doing it, whether it's anybody else doing it, it's just here to stay. And you can make your own decisions on whether drama is good or bad. The fact of the matter is drama is needed because drama, one, holds people accountable, and number two, there is also, like, you could call the drama videos, but they're exposing people. Like, real recently, I just saw what the videos both Opossum Bud was making, but mainly Rattle, showcasing that Charizard King 24 dude who is, making a name for himself in this hobby, taking on a bunch of consignments, asking people what the lowest dollar amount they were willing to take, and then selling that card for more, and only paying them out, like, their lowest agreed upon price. And then instead of just doing a 5% consignment fee, he was holding all the extra money that he made. And in the Lugia case, the one that Rattle's been showcasing, has been greater than $1,200 he skimmed off the top. Like, scummy. I mean, that is literally, like, the scummiest, worst type of people in this hobby. Those are the people that the channels like Opossum and Rattle are needed to weed those type of people out. I promise you, anybody who is doing consignment services, who is skimming off the top and, like, hurting the consigner, because the consigner is whoever's sending them that card, who trust them to get them the highest price. They don't trust them to give them the lowest price they're willing to take, and then just any profit that's left over at the end of the day, they're going to keep. That's not how consignments work. And, I mean, Rattle recently made fantastic, hands down, like, fantastic videos where he held other people accountable who were defending Charizard King 24. Like, how can you defend somebody like that? Think about it. You're defending somebody like that after they're now, like, robbing money from people in this hobby? How can anyone defend that person? It's the dumbest thing. And there were a lot of people that defended him. And Rattle went through and he looked at all the people that were, like, he was following all the people that were commenting. And it was amazing because during Rattle's video, he goes, here's this person, here's this person, and he had already made videos about every single one of those people. And all the scammers, they all just managed to mold together and flock together, and they're defending each other. And when a scammer defends another scammer, it's probably because they're doing the same stuff or they don't want to be exposed. It's, the same way a lot of like the rattle videos he did with the Blake Martinez shit. Like, even though that girl Snee was on the screen and she swapped out packs, you can see it. It was enough evidence for them to get kicked off of Whatnot. Nobody was willing to like just stand up and condemn that type of behavior from somebody and saying like what she was doing was wrong. They still kept her on the payroll. Like, I mean, do you hear the words that I'm saying? Like, they still kept her on the payroll. So you need people like a Rattle, like an Opasa Bud, to hold people accountable and to show off like the shady shit that's going on in the hobby. And hopefully, and I do believe this from my heart of hearts, that I do believe that people like that are actually like elevating this hobby and bringing it into a better place. Because when the hobby gets big enough, and especially when the dollar amounts get big enough, you need those type of people. In a perfect world, those people aren't needed, but we don't live in a perfect world. We live in this world, which is far from perfect. So those people are super needed, and they do fantastic work, both of them. Rattle, definitely. I mean, Rattle is just an all-star. So, next on people that I follow, we got Bearski Collects. He's got like Bearski's been on my channel before. I met him down in Charlotte. He's got a great channel he does. I got Dan Catchmore Collectibles did a community post today. Dan always is bringing that, Dan's being one really consistent, and Dan like puts a lot of his plays out there, especially when you're talking about like somebody in this hobby who's full time, really is good at like the financial aspects of. Dan is able to do what a lot of people can't do, and is really good at like hammering down certain points. And one of the things that Dan can do that a lot of people can't do is Dan's very good at like expressing to people that you need to separate your finances when it comes to Pokemon, especially if you're trying to do this as a business or even like a part-time gig. Like, get a separate checking account, get a separate credit card for Pokemon. And especially, like, don't start mixing and mingle everything, especially if you want to look at Pokemon as a way to make money. And that's what we do on this channel. We talk about flipping cards and buying products and selling products and grading cards and all those things. He talks about, like, keeping everything separate. And all that's super important. And Dan shows his big plays, like Celebrations Charizard. He did a whole video breaking down like how he sourced those cards, prices he paid, what his 10 rate was, all kinds of crazy stuff. So people like that are like required too, and Dan does a great job of that. So yeah, I follow Dan. Yeah, and then I just saw Rusty's face. I mean, Rusty's just the pillar of the hobby. And, Rusty makes great videos, and, even showing off his consignments, it's always a good way to, like, one, look at what Rusty's selling, but, like, there's always some sort of, like, historical card that Rusty's showcasing that day. And, there are a few facts in this hobby, but one of the facts is who the pillars of this hobby is. And Rusty is the pillar of the pillars, because when you ask people who are other pillars of the hobby, who's the pillar? They say Rusty. So, I mean, you don't get to that point in this hobby without a huge track record of just performing at the highest level, but doing it in the right way and being able to like grow to what he is, which is one of the largest Pokemon sellers in the world, has one of the best collections in the world, especially when you're talking about uncut sheets. His uncut sheet collection is arguably number one in the world, especially when you talk about, like, how insane it is with, base set, first edition, thick stamp, thin stamp, shadowless, unlimited, 99 2000 sheets, and then all the Mew and all the theme decks, and, the Disco Hollow test print sheets, and everything. I mean, he just has so many insane sheets. Like, that's just one small part of his collection, too, and I mean, he just has so much stuff, but you don't get there. Like, with going half-ass in this hobby. Like, you only get there performing at the highest level, and you don't just perform at the highest level for as a blip on the radar. You perform at the highest level in this hobby for such a long time, and like that's what Rusty has done. So, the amount of information that Rusty has out there is just it's like an encyclopedia in a way of Pokemon. And same thing with Gem Mint Pokemon. Follow Gem Mint Pokemon. Gem Mint Pokemon, when he was making videos, was at a different time in this hobby. But he was one of the very first people who, the same way as I look at the camera and I say, listen, one of the best advice I could give to anybody out there watching this video is you should grade your own cards. And if you've never sent a submission out there, it's never too late. After this video's over, go on PSA, figure out how to submit cards, and send your first PSA submission. Like, pull off that Band-Aid. Do that first ever submission. It's worth it, I promise you. I promise you. And if you're watching this channel and you've never graded cards, you probably have a huge backlog. Gem Mint Pokemon, in a way, was the first person to do that for a lot of people. Like, a lot of people that dabbled into the grading market was because of videos like Gem Mint Pokemon was doing. And that's why, he was doing it before everybody else. And, he kind of had to make his YouTube channel. And he's talked about this in two ways. One, so he could document all the stuff he was doing, but number two, he was doing it out of a necessity because he needed to encourage people to grade some of these cards, because when he was trying to complete his original WotC master set of every single holo from base set all the way up to Skyridge and every variant in between, well, the fact of the matter is a lot of these cards were pop zeros. They didn't exist in PSA 10s, and he needed the entire hobby as a whole to be able to kind of rally around and start grading cards for that goal to even be met. So his channel came out of, in a small way, just pure necessity. Otherwise, he never would have been able to finish his collection. So, people like that are important. Or even I think about a lot of the older pillars like Gary King Pokemon and stuff, and all the things that Gary has done for this hobby, and he has a channel too, and I recommend checking out his channel. He hasn't been making content lately, but when you hear the snippets, you hear the way Gary talks about the way things used to be, and I'm lucky. I have a loose, I call it loose relationship with Nat Turner, the president and CEO of PSA, because he's been on this channel, and I have his email. He'll actually answer my email if I write it to him. But at the time, Gary King Pokemon, he built his relationship with Joe Orlando. Joe Orlando was the president and CEO of PSA, the same way Nat Turner is today. Joe Orlando is back then, and now Joe Orlando is working with, I believe, either Heritage or a Golden. Is it Heritage Auctions? I don't know. He's working with one of them now after collectors came in and bought out PSA. But, Joe Orlando was a very big sports guy, and it was because of Gary that Gary pushed PSA to really be the grader of Pokemon, because at the time in 99, when he was one of the first people to grade, he had his decision. He said, we can go with PSA, or we can go with Beckett, or we could go with another grading company. And it's because of guys like Gary King Pokemon and E. Birdman that graded those very first cards with PSA that people even do this. So, and even shadowless cards, it took a long time for PSA to even recognize shadowless cards. And Gary originally, when he presented them to PSA, wanted to call them no shadow, but it was because PSA ended up writing shadowless on the label. That's where the phrase shadowless cards came from. At the time, Gary was pushing the no shadow, but even that, to talk about shadowed or unlimited versus a shadowless variant, you had to, in a way, still be deeper down the rabbit hole even back then to know there is a variant. And it's just, these are and I don't know if they're secrets, but they are in a way, because it's secrets that you just have to reach out to some of these grading card companies and get them to still grade different variants. And it's no difference the way Gary got PSA to grade a variant of base set from unlimited to shadowless, and that's why there's still rumors out there that there is potentially a no damage Ninetales that exists in a PSA 10, and that no damage Ninetales might just exist in a normal slab before they even recognize the variants of shadowless or anything. So it could just be in like one of those old 000 certs, like PSA slabs, and like that's a rumor that went out there. I've never seen that card, so I have no way to actually verify whether that is true or false. I know Nick Old School Pokemon could probably lend some credence to whether that is true or not. But and then next on my subscription list is CTR. If Ryan's out there, which he's probably not watching this video, but if Ryan is out there, Ryan's fucking thumbnail today was gold. I mean, arguably the best thumbnail that CTR has put out was put out on his most recent video for the Hanger Gang. It was pretty wild. But no, I mean, when I think of people in this hobby that like I respect and I care about and just like people I could call true friends, like Ryan's one of them. Same way Rattle is one of them. But one of the things about Ryan is, one, he is a wealth of knowledge, encyclopedia type knowledge. I mean, the amount of time CTR has put into this hobby is unmatched by most people, and like most people, and that's one of the things that Ryan sometimes in his videos, he doesn't like really showcase his true knowledge because he's open in packs and stuff. But what Ryan knows about this hobby, like you don't become as successful as he has without realizing like the ins and outs of this hobby and how to navigate it at the highest level. And Ryan has done that. And you know, the same way Rusty is a good guy, Ryan is the same. I mean, it's a different end of that spectrum though, of like being a great guy, where, you know, TCA is great for like his attributes, but Ryan is at the end of the day just like he's a softie too, man. Like he's just got this huge heart, and Ryan doesn't want people to know that, but he's just an overall like solid good dude. When it comes to his friends in the hobby, like Ryan is very loyal friend to a lot of different people, and you know, for the people that he likes, and for the people that he doesn't, he lets everybody know. He's very vocal about that. And his good qualities, like, he is one of the true good ones. Like, when I had my kid and stuff, you know, Ryan sent me a car seat for my son. Like, he is one of my favorite stories. It's a story that I want to say it's Pokemon Radar tells all the time. It was CTR, John Pokemon Radar, and then PokeRev. They were like at a GameStop or something, and they were just looking at games, and some random kid walked up, and like, I don't know if he like walked up to Ryan. Pokemon Radar could tell the story a lot better, but he like told Ryan, he's like, "Oh, I like this game," and Ryan's like, "Oh, you do?" And he just bought it for the kid. Didn't know the kid, never would see the kid again. Just some random kid that was excited about something. Like Ryan just went out of his way to buy that game, like for no reason. And the parent was super like appreciative and stuff. And it's like, why do you do stuff like that? It's just because some people are just, they're wired differently. They're wired to be good people, and like Ryan puts on like this front, but that's all it is. I mean, he's just a good dude. Like that's why there are certain people in this hobby that like I cannot say a negative thing about them. Ryan's one of them. Rattle's one of them. You know, TCA is one of them. There's people that, you know, everybody has their faults, but like whatever, all their good things, all their good qualities, great qualities, like just far outpace everything else. So yeah, that's my thought about CTR, and that's why he's one of the people I follow. Looking down, yeah, next, I'm just looking down my subscriptions. If you guys are just tuning in now, you're probably not really understanding what this video is, but let's see. Let's see. What is this guy? Some people are going intense in the chat. Fuck those guys. So next, yeah, PokeRev. PokeRev's just great dude. Tons of information on his channel too. Definitely recommend you guys going back and like watching some of Rev's like older videos too, because they're solid and they just have so much information. And I think he does a good job of just like I don't know, that fine balance of he has to make his videos like entertaining because of the just the demographic of viewers that he's watching. But he is very good at like sprinkling in information. Like even on his tops videos today, I watched his top video. He was able to talk about like the different printings, like showcase the different color top stamps on the back of the cards and stuff. And like these are things that a lot of people out there know, but for the large majority of this hobby, like people don't know that, and they don't know like those small nuances of stuff like tops. And Rev, while he's still making these videos very entertaining for like the average person, he is still able to like sprinkle in all his knowledge, and it comes off really well, and it's a great entry point for a lot of people in this hobby. That's why like I think channels like him are great. Next, so Pokevault, Pokevault's been on this channel. I had like a weird thing with Pokevault. More people, to be honest with you, like a lot of people like blew up the whole issue that I had with Pokevault. Like me and him were fine with it. It was just everybody else like ran with it. But me and him are fine, and I've been watching a lot of his content. I think his is great. Pokevault's most recent video he talked about, it says, mystery packs are scanned, responds to rumors and drama. I watched, there's the whole PokeTuber mystery packs, like everybody's doing them. I've seen a million of those mystery packs, and they're all identical, and they're all copied off of PokeRev. You think about it, it's like PokeRev made one, Unlisted Leaf made one, PokeChloe made one. I want to say Ruxin made one, but for Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokevault made his. I'm sure there's other people. I'm sure there's other people that have just copied those exact same, and it's all because of the PokeRev packs. And everybody's like, "Oh, they're scams and stuff," and it's like, they're not scams. It's just simple math. Like you can tell how much all these people are making off these packs. It's just, don't buy them. If you don't want the packs, don't buy them. Like I'm not the buyer of mystery packs. But I know how you can make mystery packs. Like, I mean, we could do it if you wanted. All right, let's see. I could actually... Oh, let's see. I got my camera right here. Let's see if this will work. Ooh, wait a second. Oh, look at that. Here. I'll try to hide my keyboard a little bit. Alright. Alright. Let me see if I have a pen. Here's a pen. Alright. Mystery packs are pretty simple when you think about it, right? So, I think the way mystery packs are is like PokeRevs and everybody's, so it's like odds. I think they have like a gold tier, a silver, a red, and then just like the base is the green, right? So gold is 1 out of 25, silver is 1 out of 10, the reds are 1 out of 5, and then green is just everything else. What's your cheapest WotC booster box that you can buy? Probably cheapest WotC booster box is going to be, I don't know. I was going to say Jungle, but I want to say that there was a Fossil booster box sold last month for like $7,000 for an unlimited. So if you had a so your booster box is going to cost $7,000 for Fossil unlimited. So that puts you at like $200 per pack, right? And let's just say you did a print run of 500 packs total. So 500 total packs is going to be your print run. So for gold, that would mean you would need 20 packs, right? So that would be $4,000 would be the total price it would cost to load 500 packs just from that Fossil booster box. This is like how much you would, this line right here would be how much you would pay. So silver would be black and white. The cheapest black and white booster box is probably black and white base. Black and white base is $1,400 a booster box. I don't even know. How much is that? 1,400 divided by 36 is, call it $40 per pack. So this is the per pack price. So you would need 50 of those. So 40 times, it's $2,000. So you need $2,000 worth of black and white packs. Red would be Sun and Moon. What's the cheapest Sun and Moon packs? Burning Shadows? No, Sun and Moon base. But you wouldn't want to put Sun and Moon base in. Burning Shadows. Guardians Rising. So how much is... So Guardians Rising, you do it like per pack, which would be like $7. So red would be... You would need 100 packs if it's 1 out of 5. So $700 for your red tier, and then green would be everything else. And green, so you got to figure $3 per pack for just... And green's just going to be whatever's most modern. So that's going to be everything else. So, let's see. That's... like, what is that? 7... Yeah. But yeah, it's... So all you would need... So, if you... You would make a lot of money. So at 500 packs... So hold on. Well, then you would need to, like... You would need to do the rest of the packs. So you're going to have 5 packs per mystery pack. So that would be 2,500 packs you would need to just have your normal packs at $3. So that would be 7,500, right? And then for normal, you would need... So your green tier, which would be the non... So you'd need 330 of those packs. Right? So that would be $990. So in order to make 500 mystery packs, this is how much money you would have to do. So what is this? So 67 plus 990 plus 7,500. Is that right? Hold on. Did I mess this up? Oh, 6,000 plus 990. So this is how much it would cost you to seed those packs. And if you wanted to make 500 mystery packs and do legit odds with the cheapest way, so gold would be fossil, silver would be black and white base, red would be Guardians Rising, and then green would just be whatever, some modern Scarlet and Violet or modern Sword and Shield pack. This is how much it would cost you to make 500 mystery packs. If you were selling 500 mystery packs... So, I mean, that was actually easy. So, at $50 a piece, that means you're pretty much doing $25,000. That's assuming you're at $50 per pack. Per pack. If you bumped it up to $55 per pack, so, I mean, that would be 2,500 added on to this. So if you did 55, that's 27,500. This is how much it costs you to seed those packs. If you did 500, you're making 10 grand at $50 per mystery pack. If you're doing it at 55, you're making, $12,000. So you could either make $10,000, you can make $12,000. That's all mystery packs are. It's very simple math. Is that like a scummy thing to do? It's just a thing. It's just the way people make money. Like, I'm not the buyer of this because why the fuck would I spend that much money? It just doesn't make sense to me. But, yeah. Mason Berry said this is the close to ASMR. Well, I just showed you guys. Like, if you made 500 mystery packs and you seeded them legit with fossil, black and white base, Guardians Rising, and then just normal packs, you would make $10,000 if you sold 500 of them and you charge $50 a piece. You make $12,500 if you sold them at $55. There's a lot of money to be made in mystery packs. And when you get big enough, that's easy. Like, I don't know. It just seems like really easy money to me. But I don't see anything wrong with that. It's just simple math. The people that make a problem with that is don't buy them. The thing that I would say the only negative about those is there's dumb people out there. They say that, all the packs are weighed, that, people are scamming. They're not scamming. I just showed you. You can make $10,000 by making 500 packs. You can make 12,500 by charging an extra $5 for every $5. And then, the crazy thing about those green packs, I talked about it as being $3 per pack for modern. There's a lot of modern sets that you could get your price point to way less than $3 per pack. I just told you that just to fill for 500 packs, for 5 packs, just your normal, it costs $2,500. If you can get that, or that's 2,500 packs, I'm sorry. If you could, shave $1 off that, you just saved yourself $2,500. And you look at a set like Scarlet and Violet base, when, you could get a booster box for $75. So that brings you to right around $2 per pack in order to seed that product. So now you save yourself $1 per 2,500 packs. You saved yourself thousands of dollars. Like, the narrower you could get your margins down, the more money you make. So, and I quoted fossil booster boxes at 7,000. If you shop around and you get fossil booster box in abundance and you can get a good deal on them, you could cut that price down, because that's one of your biggest. Like, the more you cut the price down on how much it costs you to seed this product, the more profit margins there are to be made. And mystery products have a ton of margins. So it's just a thing of, if you don't like them, don't fucking buy them. It's just that easy. But don't hate people. Like, I don't hate it. It's just I'm not a buyer of it. Like, I know that the value's not going to be there. Now, you could do the lottery factor of it and hope you pull something good, and that's the thing. Like, these mystery packs, you at least know your odds going into it. It's like, okay, I have a 1 in 25 shot of pulling a WotC pack out of one of these mystery packs. And if you're willing to take that risk, go for it. That's just not for me. But I'm not going to hate on anybody that's doing it. So next is on my subscriber list is Top 10 Pokemon. I like Top 10 Pokemon. He does a really good job of showing the crazy highs of prices and what auction prices are today. So if you're not familiar with Top 10 Pokemon, he'll show the top 10 auction prices from 2000 of a certain card, and then he'll show where those cards are today, or he'll just do the normal weekly recap of where some of these modern cards fell for auctions, or where some of the vintage cards. He does a nice wide range of different cards, so you get a good feel of the market by watching his video. And it saves you a lot of time to have to go on eBay and search, Pokemon items ending recently, sort by highest prices. You don't have to do all that sorting, so it makes it easier. Next is Slab Podcast. I really like the Slab Podcast with the Green Shiz and Professor Oak. Next, I'm looking Twice Baked Jake. He's always, I haven't been watching him as much lately, but he always puts out quality content. I see Cardinal Gaming in here, who's doing an Xbox repair. All right, let me ask you guys a question. I did have a video topic that I was originally going to do today, and I think there's only one guest that I need to bring on to make the video topic. And the topic I want to do is, are we just outliers in this hobby? And what I mean by that is, are we outliers with the way we think about Pokemon? Are we just in a very small subset of this hobby? Or are there other people out there that think about this hobby the way I think about this hobby, about the way you think about this hobby? And I think there would be nobody out there that could give a better answer to that question than Mason, Cardinal Gaming. I need to have Mason on because he has people walk through his store every single day. And I could ask him, I'd be like, Mason, the people that walk through your door, do people talk about Pokemon the way we talk about Pokemon? Or do we just live in a bubble of, and the things we think other people think about, the reality of the matter is that nobody thinks the way we think about. And nobody would be able to bring that perspective better than Mason. So, in order for me to have that conversation of, are we an outlier in this hobby? Are we, a silent majority? Are we a silent minority? Like, what are we in this hobby? And I do believe that Mason would be able to give us, like, that best snapshot of who is the average buyer out there. Because I'll give you an example. And one of the reasons that made me want to like do that topic of the video was I was just doing something as simple as walking through Walmart because I was just picking up some Gatorades, and I always like to walk through the Pokemon section. Always. I like just to see what's stocked on the shelves. I'm not buying anything because I'm not going to pay Walmart prices for product, especially right now in today's client or today's like climate of just everything is cheap right now. But as I walk through there, there's still spots on that Walmart shelf that are empty, meaning people still walk into Walmart every day. People aren't shopping around trying to get the cheapest possible price imaginable. Are we, you know, I would never spend whatever MSRP is for a modern ETB, but there are tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of people out there every set release that will pay MSRP, and there's a reason why ETBs will sell out of Walmart where you won't catch me dead buying those, but there are people out there that will do that. And there's no way that the people who are able to eat up 100% of the supply from Walmart's is the niches of this hobby. That, in my opinion, is the vast majority of people in this hobby. So, do they care about any of the stuff we care about? And I feel like that answer is probably easier than I'm giving it credit for. And I think that the simple answer is we are just as deep down the rabbit hole. We are in the absolute niches of this hobby. And I would be curious just to ask a guy like Mason, be like, when people come in, like, what is the conversations they have? Do they ask you about vintage cards? Do they talk about set releases? Do they ask about, like, what was this set like? What was the climate like? What was the feel like? What was the smell of the air like? Like, were people really excited about this, certain product? What was the playability of this set? But what was the secondary market of this set? Was it a strong, like, hype set? All the, like, little things. Like, you want to know everything about sets. And you can go and want to know everything about every set. And what were the chases? What did people value? Were people valuing the playability or were they valuing the chase? What were the secret rares like? Like, were people binder collecting these back then, or were people just doing, onesie twosies of packs? Were people going out and buying booster boxes, for some of these older ETBs? Did people even want these ETBs? What sort of auxiliary products were these products in? What was the release like of these products? Was this a limited release? Meaning, did it have multiple reprints? Did you see... And if we did see multiple reprints, how long did those reprints last? What sets did these reprints overlap with? Because if they had a reprint of this set, did they not have a reprint of another set because they ended up reprinting this set? And did they reprint it because of demand, or did they reprint it for playability? I don't think people care about any of that shit. But I think there's a small subset of the hobby that does care about all this stuff, and every single set we think about that. And whether it's the most modern set, which is Paradox Rift, or you go back to Sword and Shield and you think about the timeline of Vivid Voltage, or you go back before then and you think about the timeline during A Burn in Shadows or Unified Minds, or you go back and then you think about Sun and Moon and you think about, like, what was the feeling like for, like, Ancient Origins was XY, but what was the Lost Thunder? What was it like in Sun and Moon for Lost Thunder? You go back to XY and it was like, what was the feeling like for Phantom Forces, and how did the sets before Phantom Forces play out? How did all the sets after Phantom Forces play out? Or the same way I look at Black and White, and you go back before the XY and you look at Black and White and you go, Dragon's Exalted feels like it was short printed. Was it short printed? And if Dragons Exalted was short printed, what was the feel like during Dragons Exalted? Or you go before that and you look at like the platinums and stuff, and you're like, did people care about the secret rares of these? Or you go and then you look at the Heart Gold Soul Silvers and you're like, did people care about the primes? Did people care about the legend cards? I need to know, which legend cards did they care about? Was it just like that Heart Gold Soul Silver base with the Lugia and the Ho-Ho? Or did people look at the other ones? Was the Deoxys and Rayquaza, was that a sought after legendary card? Or you go before that and you start to look at like the Diamond and Pearl era and you go, Secret Wonders. Secret Wonders is a freaking awesome set. Was Secret Wonders like really sought after? What about Majestic Dawn? I've always had questions about Majestic Dawn, and you'd be like, I love the timeline that Majestic Dawn was in, and all these little things. Like, this is a way I like to think about like the hobby. And do people think about that stuff? There's only one man that can answer that question, and it's Mason from Cardinal Gaming. We got to get him on here. Alright, let's just look down. Mason said, Jesus Christ, PK, if you walked into my store and asked me all those questions, I would make a video just about you. Yeah. But, funny. So, two things. Just talk about Mason. One, yesterday was the 3-year anniversary of my channel, of the first video I ever put out. I went down, I scrolled to the bottom, I looked at my oldest video. It's not even public anymore. It's actually private now. My first video, and it was really, my first video I ever made on this channel was released November 28th, 2020. So it's now been 3 years of me making content on this channel. And then Mason Cardinal Gaming. Mason came on my channel, I want to say it was on November 21st, 2021. So that was 7 days ago, but that would make 2 years, would be the official anniversary of the first time I ever had a guest on this channel. And Mason Cardinal Gaming on November 21st, 2021 was the first ever guest I had on my channel. So it's pretty wild to think 3 years ago I made my first video. 2 years ago I had my first ever guest on, to where I'm at today. And it's like, okay, I like this. This is fun. This makes me happy. But, yeah. If you're out there, Mason, thank you, man, for being the first guest on my channel and helping me go down the road of making the content that I want to make. That's what it boils down to. It's not about sometimes making the content that gets the views or gets the clicks. It's about making the content that I want to make, talking about the topics that I want to talk about. And yeah, Mason helped be the first one to do that, and took a chance just coming on my channel in the first place. Never had to do that. I mean, big shout out to you. Yeah, man, appreciate that. And yeah, I want to have you come on again and just talk. Let's have a chat. So next, I don't think I talked about Rudy, but yeah, Rudy's just gotta watch Rudy. I mean, Rudy has a very different take on the market, especially when it comes to sealed product and stuff. And Rudy's been right a lot of times in this hobby. Rudy's been wrong a lot of times in this hobby, but you know, the times he's been right has outweighs the times he's been wrong. And when you talk about historic videos, the same thing that I want to highlight, I don't know how many people have made it to this point in the video, but I mentioned it where I want to highlight historic videos. You know, ironically, one of the most historic videos in the Pokemon hobby is a Rudy bathroom video, and Rudy's not even a Pokemon channel, he's a Magic the Gathering channel, but ironically has one of the most historic Pokemon videos ever made, so it's just wild. And then, yeah, I probably should have not went with most recent videos. I should have went with my subscription. But, either way. Screw it, guys. I went for 54 minutes. Holy cow. I appreciate you guys. Oh, and then I see Josh, the old card shop. Yes, I watch Josh, too. Josh is also one of those channels. He has a great channel. Tons of information. Has a great podcast he does, too, with retrospects. And I learn a lot from Josh, too. Josh he knows a lot of, like, the nuances, and especially Josh talks about all the in-person selling and stuff. And, you know, for the first time I ever went to Collecticon, I learned a lot of the like ways that I was planning to go about selling in person. I learned a lot of that from Josh's because that's what he's doing right now. He's going full time like conventions, whether it's the local stuff, whether it's Collecticon. So from the smallest shows to the mid-sized shows to the biggest shows, he's doing it all, and he's got a good finger on the market right now for that average consumer and what are people buying right now. And then he's also, when you talk about like the secret to this hobby, like he's doing the nichier grading plays. Like nichier grading plays can be the low grade play. You know, things nobody does, Josh does. And he has great insight into this hobby. Great dude. But alright. That's what I want to do on this video, is talk about some of the secrets, which is just the other people in this hobby, learning from everybody. And I challenge every single person out there to learn from everybody. You're probably going to agree with most people on 95% of the stuff because it's still Pokemon, but it's the nuances that separate people. And it's the same way in life, at your job or anything. If you can learn a little bit from everybody and you just take a little bit of whatever you like about this channel, take it, make it your own. Whatever you like about the Old Card Shops channel, take a little bit, make it your own. Masons, Rattles, Opossum, Cool Train Orion, PokeRev, TCA Gaming, Catch 'em All Collectibles, Alpha Investments, Nick Old School Pokemon, Jake Pokenomics, you know, Jake, Twice Baked Jake, Deep Pocket Monster, you know, any person out there that, Professor Oak, did a Green Shiz, anybody make out there, or Beerski, somebody who's like newer to making content, or just anybody who's making content right now, just take a little bit from each one. Like, figure out what do you like that they're doing right, and then make it your own. And then you just become a hybrid of people's best qualities, and you're able to like leave out all their bad qualities. So if you take just everybody's good qualities, like the new collector, the new investor, the new flipper that now exists because of all these like resources to them, have just like elevated people in this hobby so much more. And the people that actually take advantage of that, I think at the end of the day, they come out way ahead and they do awesome stuff. So yeah, guys, as always, appreciate every single one of you. If you could do me one favor, hit that like button. Really goes a long way. It really helps push this video out through the YouTube algorithm, and maybe people that never seen this channel in the first place will discover it for the first time. But yeah, guys, as always, appreciate every single one of you, and I'll catch you on the next video.